After the massive success of Superman in the summer of 2025, the DC Universe is ready to go cosmic. Next up, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Based on Tom King's critically acclaimed comic run, this is not your father's superhero film. It's rough around the edges, emotionally raw, and anchored by a fearless performance from Millie Bobby Brown. Alongside her, Jason Momoa as the foul-mouthed, dreadlocked, motorcycle-riding anti-hero Lobo, a role he has literally been waiting 14 years to play. Director Craig Gillespie and DCU co-head James Gunn are here to tell us everything. Well, almost everything.
It's so beautiful. The illustration and the world that has been created is so stunning. And I think also the story is one about resilience and about kind of these two girls on a mission to overcome their own grief, like their own internal kind of turmoil. Kara is someone who is uncomfortable with the life that she's been given and the responsibility that she's been given, and she internalizes that by kind of just self-destructing and kind of deflecting any sense of responsibility because it's easier. Craig has made this world so beautiful. And I think in terms of story, Craig is someone who's always looking for what's not on the page in a way. You can read a scene and be like, oh, so this is, these are the beats, this is the arc, this is whatever. He'll kind of try and invert it, which is really fun. And I think it's very unconventional as like a superhero film, and his work has really highlighted that.
At the center of it all is Millie Bobby Brown, and by every account from every person on this film, she was the only choice for Supergirl from the very beginning. James Gunn says he called her name on the very first phone call about this project. The director calls her a star. Her co-stars call her a big sister. And the character herself? Rough around the edges, unapologetic, and completely authentic. Just like Millie.
Eve is just such a star. She is so good at direction. She's so adaptable as an actor, which I think in young actors especially is really hard. And that makes things really interesting and exciting for me. Yeah, and I can't wait to see where her career takes her.
It's just been my dream role. I always thought I would play him. Yeah, I love anti-heroes. I love someone who kind of can be both ways and kind of lives by a code, I think there's this deep down there's like a samurai code to him, but I love, obviously I love the dreadlocks, I love the motorcycles and his foul mouth and, just everything about him is just crass. And the fact that he's not afraid to, punch everyone in the face and get into a rumble. It's just a really fun comic book that I grew up with and I love. They wrote it wonderfully, and I think her character is amazing in the show, and her with all the struggles and trials and tribulations and growth and what she's going through. And there's definitely places where our characters can kind of overlap and sit out and have a drink. And I think she's got a nice wit and quick, and there's a mutual respect. I could never do what she does. She's a little, in the one scene we had, she was just game, and she's sassy too. It's great. They're strong women. The only time I've ever really experienced this kind of transformation is Aquaman, when he put on the gold suit, was like, whoa. I guess there's a couple. Drogo kind of felt like that, but there's nothing been everything's covered. The eye line, there's literally the massive scleros are in, hands, everything's is this character. And I think when he put it on, the thing just comes out. So I was just kind of waiting. I was a bit nervous when he started, but then right when everything went on and you look at yourself and you're like, whoa. When I first met Craig, it's like, wow, you walk in, we met actually at Legacy, and you get to see all the animatronics or, stuff that you just don't normally see in movies anymore. everything's in front of you. You know, everything is on the camera. Everything we're shooting is like right there. There's not a lot of visual effects. Like your imagination it's just everything's there, so you get a feast on it as an actor.
I did 2 months of stunt training, and that was so much fun. I didn't even know that I had to do any stunts on this production. So to find that out I was so excited to get started. He is such an amazing director. I'm so fortunate to be able to work with him. Milly is such a dream to work with. I really look up to her. She's taught me so much so far. And she's such an amazing actress, and I think Cara is such a strong and emotional character, and she really takes on all of those emotions and really showcases her talent. So yeah, I've loved working with her. She's a bit like a big sister. She's such an inspirational character, and especially younger children who are growing up watching all of these superhero films. They can really look up to Cara and think, wow, I want to be as brave as her when I'm older. If she can make her dream come true, so can I. I don't need to just dream it, but I can make it reality.
And then there's Lobo, the main man, the last Charnian, the most dangerous bounty hunter in the galaxy, and Jason Momoa's dream role for over a decade. Momoa describes the moment he first put on the costume as the same feeling he had putting on the Aquaman gold suit, a total transformation. Something just comes out of you. And for Lobo, that something is beautifully, gloriously unhinged.
It's been a journey, and it's candidly discovering it a little bit as we went through it and then into the editorial and finding like the character of Supergirl and Milly, who ultimately just became more and more kick-ass as the process went on. She has this strength about her. She's not afraid to show her vulnerability, but she does it in this way that's uncompromising. And her interpretation of Supergirl and what we've done with her is very rough around the edges and unapologetic. And there's, you know, and dry for sure, but it's not like the comedy that we're necessarily used to in superhero films. And that was exciting to be able to explore that and keep her in this incredibly grounded place. And lean into that, and never be outside of what she's going through emotionally. We got to do everything in a way that felt true to what was honoring Supergirl and her world, and we just tried to do that. And I think we came close enough to like be a cousin to Superman, and it was great to have that support that we could be separate and different, but still under the same umbrella. She's rough around the edges. She's unapologetic. She says what she thinks. So it's like, how do we capture that with her theme? And that's something we've been talking about a lot. And there's a very active quality to her. Like she can be very spontaneous and aggressive in her moments and almost impetuous. Milly got thrown into the very deep end. And amazingly, it was there every moment, and be so present and so nuanced with it, and perfectly in character for what Supergirl's like history has been. Jason is a force. He just fills the screen. It's like, why he's a movie star. Jason wanted to do this for 14 years, I think it was. And we got to really craft this character together and the whole look and really pay homage to the comic book version of Lobo. I mean, there's been many decades of Lobo, but we really zeroed in on the 90s. And he came in with such enthusiasm. It was amazing. And a lot of ideas and really wanted to keep the humor of the eccentricities of Lobo that we have in the comics. And I'm really excited that we got to do that. He came in and he was just ready to play, try things. Nothing was sort of off limits. And the range of performances he gave me just blew me away. And then we just kept going with that on set. We started out, we had some very strong imagery of what we were looking for and where we wanted to go with it. And between Jeff and his team and stunt department and Neil with our production designer, it became like this very much like singular effort to get to that point. And it was, I'm a big fan of getting as much in camera as we can. So we ended up taking the largest stage on Leavesden and building that town square. And so that is basically live. And then we had these armored assault vehicles that weighed like 1.5 tons, I think, that we were launching 40 feet in the air. So it's just amazing when you have those elements to start with and then build upon. Very early on in the process, we started talking about IMAX. And I was thrilled about the idea because the set pieces in this, the scale of these battles and these fight sequences, I can't wait to see in IMAX. They're massive. They've got this world building that's happening in these 5 different planets, and to be able to like sit and be engulfed by it all in an IMAX theater, it's what I'm most excited to see this film.
Amazingly, Milly was already signed on to this before I came on, but I couldn't have been more thrilled. It's like she has such an effortless way about her, and there's a sort of the way that she can deal with humor is perfect for this film. She can sort of throw it away and brush it off, but she's got this emotional weight always that she's carrying with her, and so it fits very well with the tone that I love. I mean, I couldn't have been happier to find an actor like Milly for this.
The film's emotional core is a buddy story. Supergirl and a young girl named Ruthie, played by Eve, on a mission across 5 planets. Ruthie wants revenge. Supergirl wants to save her dog Crypto. They bond. They don't bond. And somewhere in between, both of them find something they didn't know they were looking for. It's a superhero film, but at its heart, it's about 2 girls trying to survive their own grief.
Craig and I just got along the very first time that we met, and we loved the same things about the character and the same things about the comic. And that just was like a through line through the whole thing, is that we had the same sort of touchstones for what mattered to us. I don't know what we would have done without Milly, because Kara is unabashedly herself. She is authentic to a fault. When she says it, she means it. And that can actually be challenging for an actor to portray, because the job of being an actor is kind of to be a little more malleable, right? And so to find Milly, who herself is so incredibly authentic, it's gonna come out of her mouth just in the most honest way. Jason comes in, and he's been waiting to play this part and wanting to play this part for so long. So he almost has, where I was like, oh my God, can I pull this off? He was like, put me in, coach. And so it's so great to have somebody who brings that to the table, because all of the catchphrases and all of the fun, and I think makes it into the Lobo that people will be excited to see. So I'm so grateful that he has been really in his mind, I think, preparing for this for so long, because it shows on screen, because it's so lived in, it's so the guy, and I think people are just going to want more of it.
Director Craig Gillespie wanted to build as much in camera as possible, and the results are staggering. The largest stage at Leaves' Den was transformed into a town square. Armored assault vehicles weighing 1.5 tons were launched 40 feet in the air. 5 alien planets. Filmed for IMAX. 2 months of stunt training for Milly. And almost no visual effects replacing what was actually built in front of the camera. This is old-school filmmaking at a superhero scale.
I read Woman of Tomorrow, and when we were in discussions to take over at DC, I called up Peter and I said, you got to check out Woman of Tomorrow, but written by Tom King. And he did. He loved it too. But even on that phone call, I said, you know who I think would be a good Supergirl? Milly Alcock. She is very different from Superman. Superman came to Earth when he was an infant, and he never really experienced the trauma of his planet dying, whereas Supergirl always has experienced that trauma. And so I think starting from that place, and then just following up on that with Supergirl as not your usual hero, it was exciting to us. I think it was exciting to have a female-centered superhero film where the character wasn't perfect. And yeah, I really liked all of those aspects. And then I think when we came together with Milly, it really started to gel. Crypto's life is at stake throughout the movie, and it does create this tension throughout, because not only do you love him immediately, if you've never even seen Superman and you see this movie, a lot of people have seen Superman and they've fallen in love with the character of Crypto. He's people's favorite character in Superman. So seeing him come back and then seeing him truly being in danger for this film is something that really makes it a tense sort of experience at times. She brings this rock and roll vibe to the character, and this troubled feeling to the character that Milly is able to express easily and naturally, you know.
James Gunn and Peter Safran have a plan, and it is ambitious. Superman delivered commercially, critically, and with fans in the summer of 2025. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow follows in 2026. And then Man of Tomorrow arrives in 2027. 3 years, 3 films, 3 very different facets of the super family. And this film does something no other DCU entry has done yet. It goes fully cosmic, opening up a universe that was previously Earth-based. James Gunn says it plainly. They're not building the DC planet. They're building the DC universe.
And Milly brought that punk rock attitude to the character. She also made us cry when she screen tested with one particular scene. So she has, the authenticity and the real feel that James always wanted for Supergirl, but she also has the acting chops that I think people are going to be incredibly surprised by. We like the idea of our films are consistent, but not necessarily connected. So Milly, as introduced as Supergirl and Superman, same character, same person, but we can take her on an adventure that has no real connection to the story that we told in Superman. So you can join Supergirl without ever having seen anything else we've done in the DCU, or if you're a more committed fan, a more dedicated viewer, you're going to get certainly nuance and Easter eggs.
Both Supergirl and Ruthie, young Ruthie, need to come together to work together to try to track down Creme of the Yellow Hills for different purposes. Ruthie wants revenge, and Supergirl wants to save her dog, Crypto. And so they bond and don't bond along the way. It's a buddy comedy in some ways. One of the first texts I got was from Jason Momoa, who just wrote something about Lobo in big letters. And he had always wanted to play Lobo, and I've known Jason for a long time. And so, this was our chance to put him in a movie as Lobo.
And also, everybody knows he's perfect as Lobo, and it was great for him because he was so enthusiastic about playing this role and bringing this character to life, and he's fantastic in the film. We love the idea that in 2025, it was the summer of Superman, and the movie delivered commercially, critically, audience, fans, everybody embraced it. And the fact that a year later, they get Supergirl, and then the year after that in 2027 to have Man of Tomorrow. It's just great that we've kind of built this cadence of films around the super family that we're incredibly excited about, that all feel very different, but are special and unique in their own way.
Yeah, they really are all different. I mean, even Superman and Man of Tomorrow. So we get to see different facets of storytelling with each of these things, different facets of the DC universe, the DCU. And it's been an honor for us to be a part of it and to help to keep these characters that we've loved since our own childhoods alive in the different media they're able to be in today. We're opening up the universe very explicitly because Superman is Earth-based, Creature Commandos is Earth-based, Peacemaker is almost totally Earth-based, and this is another piece of the galaxy. So I think that we are building the DC universe, not the DC.
Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is everything a DCU film hasn't been before. Cosmic, raw, unapologetic, and built around a female hero who doesn't have to be perfect to be worthy. Millie Bobby Brown brings the punk rock attitude. Jason Momoa brings the chaos. Craig Gillespie brings the heart. And James Gunn brings the vision that ties it all together. This is just the beginning of the super family's next chapter. And if this press junket is anything to go by, the DC universe is finally, truly, ready to soar.